Hey, welcome back, my friend. My name is Danny Dumas, and this is the Earn Your Title podcast. Do you remember when you were in the dating world? Maybe this was high school or college, and you had the wingman. What a great asset to have in your life. And I have a friend. I met him when I became a fireman, so he wasn't able to be my wingman for very long because I got married shortly after becoming a firefighter. But his name is Paul. And what made Paul such a good wingman is that he was willing to do whatever it took to help you talk to the pretty girl. He would talk you up. He would talk to the ugly girl, the one that's always possessive of their pretty friend. And it was really fun hanging out with this guy. And while if you're a married man, I'm hoping you currently don't have a wingman because you don't need one. I'd like to introduce the concept of being your wife's wingman. Now, I'm not talking about going out to the bars and trying to hook your wife up with somebody. What I'm talking about is that in life, sometimes it's easy to start to see your wife as almost like your competitor. And not that you want to win against your wife, but sometimes it's an me versus you. Like it's not a partnership. It's I did this, so you should do this. I took out the garbage, so you should do the dishes. And we see it as an adversary is probably not the right word, although I'm sure some of you are going through an adversarial relationship right now, and I'm sorry for that. What this episode hopefully will maybe change your mind just a little bit and remind you that you guys are on the same team. I heard a wife say, it was on social media, she said, I always try to remember that me and my husband are sitting on the same side of the table. Meaning like if we're in negotiations, we're sitting together, and if she loses, or if it's your wife talking, if you lose, you can't win. The team loses. So I'm going to talk about teamwork. I'm going to talk about being a good wingman for your wife and what that might look like in different situations where maybe you don't think of it, but it would be really important. The first one is in social situations, and I think there's two powerful ways that you can be a wingman for your spouse. One of those, and this is good for you too, is that be the awesome husband in front of her friends. So you're out and about. Now, I'm assuming you are a great husband, or at least trying to be. And I know that because you're currently listening to a podcast about how to help men become better husbands, fathers, and leaders. That in and of itself is saying you are probably a step above the average guy. So thank you for doing that. So you're already doing the things, right? You're already looking out for her best interests. Maybe you're bringing her followers. You're doing these things in private. What I'm asking you to do is to go out into the world, into her social life, and do some of those things in front of her friends. What made me think about this today, I was going to go grocery shopping. And we like to shop at Aldi because we're trying to save money, and I think the food's really good. It doesn't open till 9. I was at work at 7:30, so I went to her job, and I went in and just said hi. And as I was there, she said, "Oh, can you help me?" She had to move some our office furniture around. Absolutely. Now, this is something I would have done. I don't feel like I went out of my way to be like I wasn't trying to be someone who I'm not. If she was at home and she said, "Hey, this is heavy. Can you help me move it?" I would totally do that. But my ability, the fact that I did that in front of her friends, boost her social status. And you know what? It boosted mine a little bit. I want her friends to be jealous of the relationship that she has with me. And maybe that's selfish, but I think that helps increase her status. It's funny, women, I think in general, will do things for their social status, almost, especially when they're married, more than they'll do it for their husband. Like, I think women get dressed up, put on lots of makeup, and I think they do that for the women in their life more than the men. Because you can ask most husbands, like, "Hey, would you rather, is your wife more attractive when she spends an hour putting on makeup, or is she just as attractive when she's, doing the dishes and gives you a smile and a hug?" I think most guys are like, "Yeah, man, I don't need her to go do that. I think it's important that she just goes out and makes the world a better place the way she looks." Like, I don't think it matters. But I think women go out and get dressed up to impress other women. And that's okay. So what you're doing by being a good wingman is you are saying, "Hey, I'm a good husband and you married a good man, and your friends are now jealous of you. And that's okay. You're boosting her social status. When you're out at a party, talk about your wife. Talk about how good she is. And I would say that when you're not out at a party, and this is something I try to do. Now, I wish I could say I've never complained about my wife to my friends. That is not true. I work in an all-male field, and we do vent towards, the things that our wives do that bother us. But what I always try to do is give her credit where credit is due. Like, man, my wife is so amazing when it comes to handling emergencies at home and not making me get involved. Like I work with guys whose wives, when something happens, they cannot handle it. And I say that, man, my wife is good at that. When, if she's calling me to ask for help, it's because she has tried and she can't handle it. It's not just because she wants me to do everything. So in social circles, talk your wife up, be her hype man. Like when you were dating, your friend would come over, like, for us as firemen, it's pretty easy. Someone come over like, hey, did he tell you the story about how he rescued that kid out of the burning building? That's your in, right? Someone's probably going to ask you the story. Talk about how amazing your wife is. The other thing you can do in social situations is you can be the rescuer. There's always that time where you look at your wife and you realize that she's in a conversation that she does not want to be in. It's someone who maybe it's a toxic relationship they have. That's your time to go over and say, hey, I'm sorry, I need to borrow my wife for a second. I'm taking her and take her away. And just be observant of that. And it goes so far. In the same line, we just got done with the holidays and there's lots of parties and family. What I'm asking you to do as a good wingman is to deal with your parents. When you are going to do something or not going to do something with your parents, don't ever say, well, my wife doesn't want to do this. Or, for me, it would be Andrea. Andrea doesn't want to. I'm not going to put that on my wife. At minimum, you're going to say, we decided we can't spend Christmas at everybody's house. We're going to spend Christmas at our house. What's even better is I decided. And my parents are actually, they would not worry, and they're going to listen to this. Mom and Dad, you guys are awesome. You don't ever make us feel bad. But I do know that there's families out there that they are going to make you feel bad if you don't do what they want. And you don't want that aimed at your wife. You want it aimed at you. It's your parents. You're kind of crazy. You can deal with them. They can be mad at you. Don't put your wife in that situation. So when it comes to any kind of in-laws, anything along those lines, say the words, I don't want to. Don't say my wife doesn't, or Andrea, whatever her name is. We is okay, but I prefer I. I'm going to make the decision. Yeah, I decided we're not going to do that. Don't put it on your wife. Just play some defense, right? Being a good wingman might mean you got to talk to the ugly friend. That's the ugly friend. You got to take one for the team. Leave your wife out of it. Deal with your family when it comes to those types of situations, and let her always be the sweet princess that they love so much. Don't make her be the one that, that they have any reason whatsoever to just look down on. I think that's important. Some of the other things you can do as a good teammate, good wingman, is you can look ahead to what her week looks like, her month looks like, and realize that there's going to be certain times where she needs you to do things that she would normally do. Take some of those things off the plate. She's got a big work project coming up on Monday. Maybe she's got a big presentation that Saturday, Sunday. You be the guy that does the dishes. Like for me, laundry is not something I do. I'm very blessed. She puts away almost all the laundry, but I know when she's busy, when it's a busy week, that I'm going to step up and do a few loads of laundry. It's not something that I enjoy. It's not something I like. And it's something that she does most of the time. It's kind of how we've delineated our tasks. But on those special occasions, when I know she's busy, that's something I'm going to do because we're on the same team. And that's what I think is important. Like there's so many times where well, that's not my job. Well, when you're playing a sport, right? And someone's supposed to guard somebody else and they get past them, you don't say, oh, I can't try to go block the shot because that's not my guy. We're playing man to man. He lost coverage. I'm just going to let him score. You're on the same team. If your wife loses, you lose. If you lose, she loses. And I really want you guys to get that point where you guys have connected to the point where no matter what, we're on the same team, which doesn't mean you're not going to argue, right? If you've ever played on any team whatsoever, you've gotten an argument, you've gotten disagreements, but the goal wasn't to beat your teammate, right? Because you would still lose. The goal was to get past it so that you can attack the problem, so that you can win your game together, right? Arguments are going to happen, but remember, you're on the same team. Which goes to mistakes. Like if your wife does drop the ball, if she, I don't know, name the thing, she gets in a car accident and messes your car up. The way you handle mistakes, the way you handle disappointment really goes so far. And what's really interesting, I think, like, say it's a car accident. Was it your fault? Was it her? Yeah, maybe it totally was. She was texting and driving. But the way you handle it is so important. And you can't change it, right? However whatever you're feeling, to be supportive, to lessen the blow, to let them know it's going to be okay, that you're not mad. Because really, let's say it's totally your wife's fault. She was texting and driving. She hit somebody and you're not happy with this. But if you express frustration and anger towards that, is the car still damaged? Yes. Does she know that she shouldn't have been texting and driving? Yes. You telling her doesn't make any difference at all. So why not just be supportive? When she's disappointed, say, yeah, I understand that, let's all as a family try not to text and drive anymore. Like that's the win, right? Because you can't change what already happened. All the bad things happened. So why get upset about it? Why get mad about that? It's not going to make a difference. You're on the same team, so go for the win. When your wife is coming to you with a problem, and I've talked about this before, women need to express their feelings verbally in order to feel better. And as a guy, when my wife complains to me, I'm assuming she's asking me for help. And there's 3 questions that I think you can ask. I did a whole episode on this. It is, do you need to be heard? That's just, do I need to listen to you? You don't have to say these words, but am I listening right now? Are you just venting? Do you need anything from me? Do you need any advice? No, just listen. Cool. Then, do you need to be hugged? Is this causing you emotional trauma where you need some comfort? So I'm going to hear you. And then at the end of this, do you need a hug? Like, are you okay? Like emotionally, are you okay? Do you need something after this? And it's not help, because that's the last H. It's heard, helped, and hugged, right? It's not helping you. I'm not trying to fix the problem. I'm just letting you know I'm here for you and I'm physically embracing you. Just letting you know it's okay. I'm hearing you. And then the last one might be help. Like if she's complaining that her computer won't connect to the internet, she's probably not just complaining. She probably wants you to help her to fix that. So go help her. So there is a time for help, but as a teammate, right? We need to figure out what we need from the other team, right? Is it encouragement? Is it actually physically helping them? Be a teammate, listen to them, hear them. So last but not least, a lot of times we hear things, read books, we take things in, and we don't take action. I'm going to challenge you in the next 48 hours, do something to be an amazing wingman for your wife. Not just something small, something big. Go out of your way, show up at work with flowers, and then brag about your wife, how clean the house is. Something that you don't normally do, just go big. I think it will help your relationship. Maybe it will change your relationship for the better. Maybe it will change your life for the better. That's what this podcast is about, helping men become better husbands, fathers, and leaders. If you've enjoyed this, I'd love for you to give me a review. And as always, my name is Danny Dumas, and this is the Earn Your Title Podcast. I will talk to you later. Bye.